Hi, I'm Artie Desporte. Welcome to the High Note Podcast.
And scene.
Nailed it, Artie. How you doing, man?
I'm doing all right, I think.
I hear you. Welcome to the studio, the 1600 Studios. Hank, how you been?
I've been good. I've been trying to keep busy.
It seems like it's been a while since me and you sat down.
It has. Life gets in the way, and we haven't been able to do things. And you have such a busy schedule yourself. So
yeah,
you know,
filming and the marketing side of my life has taken off, which is good.
That's great.
And I'm in a big project right now for State of the City of Ocean Springs.
Nice.
And we are winding down, so it's got to be edited and done by April 20th.
Oh wow, that's next week, right around the corner.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure you're well aware of that.
But let's dive in. So I always like to start it off because this is your guest. How do you know Artie?
Artie and I have known each other. I don't know if I can really say where we met. It's just kind of always been there. I mean, Artie was when I was young. He was young. I was just a few years younger.
Gotcha.
Than Artie, but Artie played in a band, a legendary coast band called Substantial Evidence.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Substantial Evidence was big stuff. You guys were the bomb. You did it, and they. I'll let him tell you all about it. But we had met back then. I think Pat Gill was playing bass with them, and had some other legendary outlaws that were really good. Tell us about that. Tell us how did Substantial Evidence get together? And you guys were in school, weren't you? You were at Biloxi High, or
I was in
junior
the
high?
ninth grade. I had played in a little rinky-dink band, and we broke up. And they were starting Substantial Evidence, and they asked me if I wanted to play, which I hadn't been playing very long, and my guitar was bigger than me. And I took and went in. Ray Zola was a disc jockey, and so we went into WX and practiced in there. And we got it together and started playing little gigs here and there. They didn't want to pay you hardly nothing. We worked for nothing, And then we started getting a little more popular, and then we added another piece, which is Ted Tierce, and he sang soul music pretty good, so we fit him right on in. And then we started getting a lot more gigs, and then we come across our manager, which we never had a manager before, and he was putting on a major stadium show on the coast, and he went into the Carmen Massey music store, which was famous back then.
It sure was.
And he asked Mr. Carmen Massey, he said, "I'm looking for local talent for the show." He said, "Do you have any ideas?" And we were in there walking around, we were staring at everything we wanted, and he says, "There they are over there." He pointed, he said, "No, I need some talent for the show." And he says, "That's them over there." He said, "That's a bunch of kids." He said, "That's them over there." So he got to talking to us. Of course, we were all going, how much money, And so he come to hear us. We played at the teen club on the bass.
I was going to bring the legendary teen club up as well.
Yeah, and he come in, and he heard us, and when we got through, he come up to us and said, "I need to talk to y'all again." We said, "Well, what is it?" He said, "I didn't realize y'all were going to be as good as you were." He said, "Are y'all interested in having a manager?" Well, we never even considered ever having a manager, man. We was glad we were playing,
Right.
And he said, "Would you be interested?" And we said, "Well, what kind of, what cut are you going to get? How much are we going to get?" That was what it was all boiled down to. And he told us, he said, "Well, I'll tell you," he said, "I'll keep you booked. You won't work a night under $100 a piece." So, man, we never even dreamed of that, So we got with him, and we were on a roll then. He booked us everywhere you could imagine, and bought a big old motor home, and we traveled up the East Coast and down to Florida and stuff, and we just played all the clubs down here. And then Camille hit, and we lost a couple people because of Vietnam, and they got drafted, and we added a horn section, and from there, man, it just went wild. I mean, we started playing all these high dollar places, and all these balls and proms and all this stuff. And he kept us busy, man, for years, and we did good till he got in politics, and then we kind of had to depart with the man, So part of us stayed together, and part of them left, And we remained together until, all together, I think we were together 7 years, and then we all kind of split up. Everybody started playing other people and stuff, and that was the end of that band. Starting to others,
But you guys did records too.
Yeah, we made a couple. I don't think we were the Beatles or anything, but it helped get the gigs. We made one, Death Angel, which the drummer's brother actually wrote, and we had another one on the backside, Please Walk On By, which the other guitar player wrote. Then we had one crazy one come out called Hang Loose, Mother Goose.
You got soul.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Then we had If You Look Into My Eyes, and then, like I said, we had went to Muscle Shoals and recorded. I think we had 10 songs recorded, and we needed a couple more. We were going to have to go back to finish it, and we split up, and that was the story of that one,
Muscle Shoals, man, that's historic.
Yeah, when we went in there, we were still kids, man. We didn't, we're talking, I was a little bitty thing with a big red guitar, but we walked in there, and the guy recording at the time we had to sit and wait was Leon Russell, and we didn't know who Leon Russell was.
Wow.
Wow.
And that was kind of a trip after we found out who Leon Russell was, But it was pretty cool, I never, something I never thought I was going to ever do, but we ended up doing it anyway,
That's really cool.
It was a good way to grow up, Then I grew up, got old.
So the late 60s, so you were there at Muscle Shoals late 60s. So
yeah, I think we were there at 68, I believe it was, and like I said, I got in the band in 67, I think it was, and we played around, and like 68 on, it was wild, I mean, we were traveling everywhere, Our manager would make no money. We didn't make any money, so we stayed booked, man.
That's true.
Right.
It was kind of like him, he ain't got time to sit down. That was us. we was setting equipment up, taking equipment down, putting it in the practice hall, taking it back down, getting ready to go play the next gig. And it gets to you after a while because we wasn't one for little amplifiers. We had stacks. Back then, if you had a Super Beetle, man, you was really something. We had 5 of them, so. Wow. And we had, when we got the horns and all, stuff just kept growing and getting bigger, and that's why I can't hardly hear anymore. But but it was exciting, and like I said, it's past, but still could think about it here and there, But
well, you had personnel changes too, didn't you? I mean, didn't Orrin Eleuteris come in and start playing drums for y'all?
Yeah, the drummer, which lives in Denver now, was Ray Zoller. He quit. And I don't know why, but he quit. I think he got in an argument with the manager or something, and pulled Orrin in. And like I said, then there was a few people getting drafted and stuff. So after Camille, we played the Garden Room, and we added 4 horns, which brought the sound up really.
Oh, I remember seeing you. This was also the time of Blood, Sweat, and Tears, and
Chicago and all that.
Horn
and like I said, when we added those horns, man, the sound has increased, and we got a lot of gigs from it, and they put us on TV a few times, and we was in Billboard magazine and Fave magazine,
That's
16
cool,
magazine, and all that stuff.
That's legit.
Win a date with Artie Desporte.
Yeah.
Tiger Beat.
I'll give you my autograph later.
Good. I don't have to stand in line. I still have to stand in line to get his autograph. It's tough.
We played the year before last for the reunion for Upstairs, Downstairs.
Right.
We never ever played there before, but our sax player did, so they let us in the show. And we played that gig. It's the first time in 50 years. I had to pull the bass player out of his recliner chair, and I called him up one night, and I said, "Listen, you got your equipment? We're getting the band back together." He said, "What is this, the Blues Brothers?" I said, "No, man. I said, this is for real." I said, "Our other guitar player, had a bucket list. He got cancer real bad, and he wanted us to play. Well, that fell right in our hands because we didn't have to worry about all the equipment and stuff because that show was going on, which he couldn't make it when it all turned down. And then Ray, the drummer, he got sick and was in the hospital, so I ended up getting I had to get a drummer, and all of a sudden, me and Terry Ryan had to do the singing. Ricky Bond set in from Second Class Citizen,
Right.
which saves the day, thank God. And
Did Pat Gill play?
Pat played. But I had to teach Pat how to play again. He had put that bass down, and he couldn't remember the notes.
Really?
So I bought him a snark, put up on his.
Yeah,
I said,
a snark
if
tuner.
if you
Right.
think you're not playing the right note, look down there, and you'll see where you're at, and just pick it up, and start practicing, man. I said,
That's a good idea.
yeah. So we practiced at my house, and I tried to show him the bass parts, and he picked it up again, and we pulled the gig off. I don't know if I want to do it again, but we did it then.
Was it fun?
Yeah, but
I mean, because it sounds like the learning curve was pretty.
It was really nerve-wracking getting started because all of a sudden one of them said, "Oh, we can't do this. This one can't show. That one can't show. We're going to have to stop this." I said, "Wait a minute." I said, before there was 5 of us, there was 4 of us. And 4 of us are here. And then Raymond got sick. And I said, well, they went the other one.
Yeah.
So I asked Ricky. Me and Ricky's been friends forever. And I asked him, I said, would you be interested in playing a gig with you? Sure, man, I always wanted to play with you. I said, this is the last shot, man. I said, after this, there's no more.
Right.
So you play with substantial evidence. So we did it. And like I said, we practiced at my house. I got all this equipment and stuff in there. And the only thing had to come was Ricky's other set of drums, And we did this once a week. It took forever to get everybody back to paying attention, going to practice. I said,
Yeah.
"Look,"
There's
I
a
said,
discipline to it.
I know. I told him, I said, I don't want to be the manager. I just want to play guitar, but it looks like somebody got to step up to the plate.
Yeah.
So guess what? I guess it's me. So I'm going to be Brad, the manager now. So y'all just shut up and listen to me. And we're going to play this gig. I sold all these tickets, man. I mean, they were expensive tickets.
Yeah.
And
I
said,
remember that.
I'm not letting these people down. They've come in to see us. I'm selling the tickets. We're going to be there.
Right.
If I have to duct tape y'all and drag you down there, we're coming,
Yeah.
And we did. It come out pretty good. It wasn't the Beatles, but they didn't throw anything at us while we was on there.
Unless it's monies and granny panties, it's okay. Huh?
Yeah, and we had a couple of groupies that showed up. I think they were somewhere around 80 years old, but they were nice. One lady carrying this record through the whole thing. She run to the stage. I got to have y'all's autograph. I said, what is that you got? She said, your record. I said, really? Where did you get that from?
That's awesome, though, man.
I thought that most of them floated away in Katrina, but I don't know.
But that
it
says
was
a
fun.
lot.
That does say a lot. Somebody held on to that, and they
It
heard you were coming
means
back.
something to them. You touched them. That's a pretty cool feeling.
I advertised on Facebook because I knew everybody that come to see us pretty much. So I advertised, and I took the tickets, and I sold the tickets to the people that came to see us.
Yeah.
Now, Rat Miguez and them was playing, and they were great. They really were. But their crowd wasn't our crowd, so I made sure our crowd was there, and I did a good job.
Well, that's a
of it.
smart thing to do. That was very good marketing on your part, too.
Yeah, and it, like I said, we started. Everybody come to the stage because they didn't think we were still going to be able to play, I guess. But we pulled it off, and like I said, it come out okay. I don't think we made any albums or anything, but
Well,
it worked out.
I know that you mentioned, you've said the Beatles a couple of times. What's your inspiration in music?
Well, man, everybody grew up listening to the Beatles, Of course, Eric Clapton and Hendrix and all that stuff. We kind of changed somewhere down the line. We was mixed up between soul music and Jimi Hendrix, if you could figure out where that is.
But that was Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
Soul music and
yeah.
rock music was Jimi Hendrix. He was
Yeah.
a product from that, playing with the Isley Brothers and all those cats.
What's
back
crazy about Jimi Hendrix? Didn't he die at 27?
then. Yeah.
Gosh.
And there's that 27 club with
Yeah.
him and Morrison and Janis Joplin, all Robert Johnson.
And that girl, I forgot
Oh
what
yeah,
she's-
Amy Winehouse
Amy,
and all that. They're all 27.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So-
But see, just to
oh,
think the impact that man made, because you hear Jimi Hendrix, he's part of American culture now, global
Absolutely.
culture, really. And he died at 27. He wasn't here that long,
No,
but he
not
made
at
a big
all.
impact.
People, Artie knows this. People don't realize the impact that he had. Nobody had played guitar like that before.
Yeah.
I mean, and since then, there's others that have
a lot of
manifested
great
into
guitar
their own style and stuff. But it comes from Hendrix, and I'll hear young people say, "I don't really care for Hendrix. I don't see what's so big about him." Well, it's like the Beatles. There was nobody else before them like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys paved the way. There had to be somebody that just was out there, and I mean, he was on Mars compared to everybody else. He was from a different planet. Hendrix was playing all this stuff that rhythm and lead at the same time, and his chops, and even at the end, the Banded Gypsies record, where it was toned down in terms of theatrics and all that kind of stuff, but he played his ass off. I mean, he just played. And
before that, you had to have a pompadour and shake your leg, because you had to be Elvis, So
Gotcha.
I didn't get into that stage, but that was after that.
Right. But he mentioned the teen club. Well, the teen club was the youth club out at Keesler.
Ah.
And I was there. I grew up there. I mean,
everybody grew up there.
We grew up there. And David Kolb, Janet's brother, David had gone in and painted. Remember all these black light paintings? In the very back of this place was the picture of the Beatles, the four of them, and then there was Jimi Hendrix and Morrison and all the musicians of the day, and it was like this really cool vibe for teenagers and
fluorescent
young
lighting
teenagers.
just come about,
Yeah. But all the bands, and I remember you guys packed it out, and it was just a couple of bands. But it was also a good place, I think, for bands to perform and get started as well.
Miss Baldwin took care of
Miss
all of
Baldwin
us.
was great. Jewel Baldwin. She was, I probably shouldn't say this, but I will anyway. It was, we're all teenagers, 15, 16 years old. Of course, drinking age back then was 18. So, you figure 21-year-old, they're sneaking into clubs. Well, we were pretty much doing the same thing.
She did.
Yeah. and so it was, and I was on the teen council, which was, I don't know what that means, but anyway, I was on the teen council. So Miss Baldwin had it was Christmas, and she had some punch. And she said, Hank, have some punch. I said, nah, I don't care. She goes, no, really, have some punch. I said, I don't want any punch.
I'll see where this is
really going. Have some punch. And I tasted it. It was like, holy shit. This thing took my head off. And she just sat there grinning and smiling.
And you were what, how old?
I was like 15 or 16.
Man.
Yeah.
Times have changed.
But it's the way it was.
Yeah, man.
I mean, to get into the clubs, and I won't name them, but all you had to do was have a piece of paper that said how old you were, and they let you in.
It's awesome.
We played in Ocean.
It was.
We played at Ocean Springs, where the community center is.
Yeah.
And Orrin was drinking Boone's Farm wine. And they arrested him during the break. We had to go get him out of jail to finish the gig. Yeah.
To finish the gig, you bailed him out.
I
said, hey,
you got to
where's
come back. Orrin? They said, they took him to jail.
How did he get busted? They just
he had a
rent-a-cop
Of course,
song?
we all had vans, but he had a Volkswagen van, and he's out there, and he's drinking Boone's Farm. And they arrested him, man, and put him in jail.
Golly.
Rock and roll, baby.
That's right. Welcome to the world, man, of music. That's hilarious. But did you guys play the Fiesta or the Beach House or any of those places?
I played, first off, Wayne Sharp was playing at the Beach House, so I wasn't old enough to go in. And they had a fence behind it, and we stood at the fence to listen to him play at night.
Really?
And finally, one night, I knew Frank Shank because him and my brother was friends, but Wayne says, Frank, is it all right if they come sit in? He said, yeah, as long as they don't drink, which I didn't drink anyway, so he let us come in. That was on an Easter weekend. Well, we played, and they didn't want us to stop playing.
Nice.
I mean, they were going crazy. I mean, I was like, wow, this is, we didn't know it was going to be this good, Well, he hired us after that, so we played there for a lot. And then it come to the point to wherever we played down the beach is where the crowd came. So we played there. We played the Vapors. We played the Fiesta. We played the Garden Room. The Garden Room, we'd have anywhere from 2,500 to 3,000 people there. I mean, it was like people was coming in. They were having major fights because of Ocean Springs, Biloxi, D'Iberville. None of them got along.
Right. Gulfport.
We had to redo the bathrooms every time we played.
They tear them up.
They tore the toilets off the walls and stuff, fighting,
Dumb kids.
We had like 15 cops hired. We only supposed to have a couple. We had 50. We had an ambulance waiting outside. I'm serious. I mean, it got crazy. But it got to the point where I could go anywhere in around on the coast without getting beat up, But that's the way it was back then. And then, but they would come anyway, and they're getting in, and one of them didn't like the other one. And so he's fighting, and then all of a sudden this one's fighting, and that one's fighting, and everybody's fighting. We just play it.
See, and right there, that's one of the best things about being a musician. You're on stage. You're not in the middle of any of that stuff. You're up there, and you did the right thing. And they always told me, keep playing. If something happens, just keep playing. And I've been involved a couple times around it, but not like you, not like this.
We played the Airmen's Club, which Ray's daddy owned the Airmen's Club, run the Airmen's Club.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was the manager. He told Elvis he wasn't going to make it, so he told us, we asked him to play, and he said, no, y'all ain't good enough. So when we got good enough, he wanted to play. He said, now we're going to talk money,
That's right.
Now you're going to pay, so we played in there, and I just had this thing with the wah-wah pedal. When I turn it on, I go, I didn't know what it was going to cause. They had 1,000 airmen in this place, and they had beer cans standing up, stacking them, And when I played those notes, it started, don't call me.
Oh, really? Oh, the Sly and the Family Stone song.
And then the white one started screaming back at the black one.
Oh, no.
And then Ted pops up, starts playing. Dun, 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 dun. Everybody started fighting in this place. I'm talking, we just played. I mean, there's tables flying, beers flying everywhere.
It is like the Blues Brothers.
Yeah, it was nuts. And watching them, they grabbing them by two of them at a time by the neck and throwing them out the door and stuff. And they told me, don't ever play that. I said, you got it, man. I had no idea it was going to cause this problem. But
the song was a very controversial song that Sly and the Family Stone did, and Sly Sylvester
it's kind of racial, but
yes,
it went back and forth.
A black man in a rock and roll. His band, they were a kick-ass band. I mean, the band Sly and the Family Stone really killed it. But that particular song was the racial epithet. Don't call me. And don't call me the other side, and it
I gotcha.
But it was really good on the wah-wah pedal. So that's what
you were just thinking of the music.
Yeah,
right?
I wasn't trying to start a war. But,
oh my Lord, that's great stuff. That's hilarious.
I didn't realize just how much commotion you guys.
Oh, I know. I played down in Florida, and I had coughing really bad, so I had a bottle of Robitussin back there. So I'm turning around and start coughing. I take a dip of it, put it back down. Well, they all looking at me. My hair it's long now, but it was really long, and they thought I was on something, which I didn't do anything.
Right.
I didn't drink. I didn't smoke. I didn't do drugs. And they looking at me. Well, in the middle of that thing, they had a narcotics raid in the place. It's called the White Sands. I'll never get. And they start throwing out pills and bags and all kinds of stuff on the floor. We're just looking, like, what is this? We was innocent, man, but I don't know. It's crazy.
Well, they didn't try to arrest you for it.
I just have Robitussin.
They wanted my Robitussin, but
wow. Yeah, you could be on a poster, kids, don't take Robitussin. It'll lead you down the wrong path.
Say no to Robitussin.
Say no to Robitussin.
But it was
crazy,
a crazy
man.
ride, man. It was a lot of fun,
And then you did other bands after that. I remember Wolfat, right?
Well, Wolfat was Pat and Ted and Raymond. There was three.
And what was Ted Tierce's his other name that he goes by? Emmett Dooley.
Emmett T. Dooley.
It
started out, they had a contest, and it had 13 letters to fill in. So he figured out if he called himself Emmett and put a T in the middle and Dooley, which his name was Tierce, he had filled in all the blanks. So he changed his driver's license, everything, Emmett T. Dooley. And when he got married, his father-in-law told him, look, we don't want a bunch of little Dooleys running around. So you can call yourself Emmett T. if you want to for the Tierce, but you're going to be a Tierce. You're not going to be a Dooley. So he changed the part back. But he still plays a little, but he has a lot of problems. He's doing a lot of, chemo and stuff.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. He was a big deal, Ted Tierce. I mean, I remember he had I'm thinking it was you, maybe Ben Wolfat. He was doing Zeppelin. They were doing Zeppelin stuff, and he had that red, white, and blue SG Gibson guitar. I remember it, and just the cat could play.
Me and him started the band after that one went down, called Itchy Brother.
Itchy Brother, right.
Well, Itchy Brother was a really, really freaky band. This is kind of back before Kiss and all that got started.
That's right.
So we're talking about 70s now?
Yes.
We did the whole makeup thing.
Theater, Kiss, and
so my dad loved Kiss. There was a lot of people, Randy Frierson, a lot of these people loved Kiss.
Mm-hmm.
When they came out, was that a big deal? Was that like, wow? Because I've heard
It
it's almost kind of
was.
like a cult following where, I'll watch him now. I mean, of course, I was born in the 90s, so I've seen a lot of things afterwards. But like, were they the start of that theatrics with rock and roll?
Actually, Alice Cooper, I
Yeah.
believe, started it a little bit.
Yeah.
But he didn't carry it to extremes. We did,
Right.
And we had all these crazy clothes and all. And Ted wore this purple cape. He had turquoise knickers, striped socks, platforms this high. And he, he sang this song he wrote called "Shoot an Arrow Right to the Center of My Soul." Well, we had these crazy roadies. One of them was a firebug or something. He's the one that created the flash power that Ted Nugent used. He's the one that invented it. He knew how to do it. But anyway, he worked for us. So at the end of the night, people would start leaving. We was playing at the beach house. People would start leaving, and they kept coming back later and later. I mean, they 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, they're walking back in, filled the place up again to see the last song. When he sang that song, the last of that song, I had a fiberglass bow. I had a candle burning on a thing with an arrow with all these not Q-tips, but cotton balls on it. And it was waiting. So when he sang that song, he stood on this one spot, and I shot him across the stage in the back with a burning arrow. And he would flame, jump through the stack of speakers, and they'd all crumble. We'd put the head on the floor, of course, but just knocked the cabinets down to where it caught the stage on fire at the at the beach house, burned a spot out of the wall. But we couldn't quit playing. We had to continue to play, even though he's burning on the stage. Because when the cotton balls are so soaked with lighter fluid, when it hit him, the whole cape was blazing. I mean, he was burning.
Holy
and
moly!
We had the guy from the warehouse. He come to see us, and this wasn't planned. This is something I thought up during the day because he was coming from the warehouse because he had heard about us.
The warehouse was a big club in concert place, warehouse in New
Everybody
Orleans.
played there.
New Orleans, okay.
Everybody played there.
I'm talking everybody played there.
Hendrix. And
Well,
anybody.
he was gonna hire us to back up another band to get us going. Well, I shot him with that arrow, and when that went off, smoke bombs blew up, police lights come on, the 1,000-watt light bulb spinning around, blinding the heck out of you. People was running, man. I mean, I didn't know if I killed him or not, because on the way, I thought of this, and I said, I think I got a good thing for this show. And he'd go along with it. He didn't care. So I made this board that fit the back of his back, and it strapped around him so it wouldn't hurt him. And it was real thick. It was from an old house, a real thick board. And you couldn't see it. And we didn't know that his cape was fireproof. We didn't know this at the time. So I come there, and on the way down there, I stopped at the little store, Angelina's, and I bought some lighter fluid and some cotton balls, And we got there, and I said, listen, man, when you sing that song, just turn your back towards me, and I'm going to shoot you in the back with this arrow on fire. Hey, I promise you, my mother's grave, we never, ever practiced it. And I had to shoot him a pretty good ways, I practiced.
So there's chances of missing and going
back of the head.
Well, I practiced I practiced all day at work, I'd shoot him through these doors in the place. And we got there.
Oh, my gosh.
And everybody was waiting to see. Boy, the crowd was intense, man, waiting to see this.
Because did they know that this was something was going to happen, or was this a
They
total
knew
surprise?
we was going to do something,
Gotcha.
but they wasn't sure. But I mean, these people brought me these fiberglass bows, man. I mean, it was powerful bows, And I didn't barely do it. I mean, I drew back. I was shooting through a board that was over an inch thick with target arrows. It was splintering it,
Jeez.
So this had an arrowhead. Wow.
Yeah. Well, when it hit, he caught fire and he dove through the speakers, and he just laid there. It burned. He had these body stockings and all. It burned a slap off of him, and he wouldn't move. He just laid.
Oh, no.
And everybody in the audience ran to the stage, and they had a doctor from Keesler. He said, look, I've been out at Keesler. I'm a doctor. Can I look at him? And because after I shot him, it just went like crazy music. Dan it, and he's everything smoking, blowing up, and all. Till finally the last note rang out and fed back, and he says, "Can I look at him?" So I walked over and I kicked his foot. I said, "Ted, are you alive? Ted, are you alive?" And I said, "Come on." And he come on up there and he goes, "Sir, are you okay?" And he rolled over. He says, "Emmett Dooley, how you doing?" And he shook his hand, and the guy says, "Y'all are slap crazy." And the guy from the warehouse says, "How do y'all fake this?" I said, "Who's faking, dude? This is on the spot, man." And I had to do this continuously through the whole band. Then we were fixing to come out with, wrote some crazy song, and I was going to go nuts with hatchets, and I was going to put these bands on him with stage blood and cut him up. It was getting crazier and crazier. But he only trusted me to do it because he knew I would worry about killing him. The rest of them probably just kill him.
Oh, my
I think that's the best story we've had on the podcast.
I'm sitting there visualizing all this happening.
It was nuts.
And I kept thinking, like, when you okay, I had this arrow and I shot him. I'm like, okay, it's like this arrow with some Q-tips at the tip. This arrow had an arrowhead on it, stuck into some board, some thick board, but I would never trust anybody. And it just lets you aflame.
I know, and then the climax of, "Hi, I'm Emmett Dooley."
I know.
We played in right there at the Goche line right there by the bridge. They had some kind of museum or fort or something was back in. Well, they had this big thing. It had all these bands playing. Well, we were going last. We was loud. Man, your ears would bleed. We were so loud, And I'm up there, and they see me come in. I got a guitar case and a bow, and I'm walking in. Boy, they all gathering around. They waiting to see this. So, man, I got the arrow soaking in the lighter fluid, thing burning on the amp, And we played that song, and I drew that arrow back, and the cop grabbed me.
Oh, no.
Stop. I was kind of glad because the stage was up high, and all I could see was people's faces.
Oh,
gee.
So if I missed Ted, I was going to kill somebody, and I was nervous, but I was going to do it, this is all for show. So the cop stops me, and he said, "That's it. It's too loud. People's complaining." And he turned the whole thing off. So I took the arrow. It was on fire, and I threw it over my shoulder. When it hit the stage caught on fire. He stomped it, and his whole leg caught on fire.
Oh, no.
The cop?
And the crowd was cheering. He was burning up. It was nuts. I said, "Man, I'm glad I ain't got to do this anymore." I said, "I'm really worried about this, man." It was getting too nuts. But he let me do anything, man. He didn't care. He said, "Only you." He said, "I wouldn't trust these other ones, but I'll trust you." Me and him were cousins, and I said, "I'm glad you feel so safe with me because I'm nervous."
Can you imagine you're Ted and you know that you're going to get shot in the back? Aboard, yes, but still you're going to get shot.
I'm big into camera and film.
I had to
now.
shoot him about from where I'm at to the wall.
We need to make a movie of this. We need to make a movie of this
It was
of
wild.
all these stories. Because that
crazy.
Can you imagine?
No.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I dyed my hair white, so I had white hair down the back. It was nuts, it really was. I don't know. We survived it, though. I didn't kill nobody, thank God. I ain't shot nobody else since then.
Wow. That's, yeah. That was
that was Itchy Brother, you said?
Itchy Brother. That was the glam rock. They called it glam rock.
Gotcha.
It was like Artie was saying, it was like Kiss and
Alice Cooper.
Alice Cooper. There was the New York Dolls was another band. David Johansen.
When did Black Sabbath come on stage?
They were about 70, 71, weren't they?
They were
Somewhere in there.
So they were a part of that kind of, because I remember
Well, they were just goth. They kind of ushered in that new
Prince of Darkness.
Prince of Darkness.
Yeah, man.
Well, then we got to another band. Whew, here we go again. And this band was called Nasty Nino. And Billy DeVries.
Guitar player.
Bobby Latil. And well, anyway, we played, and everybody expected something. So I made him these roller skates, the singer, and he had a green and red sparkler behind each one of them and a red cape. And he was blind in one eye, but he had 6 eyes painted on his head. And he come out from the back of the building twirling a sword, and all these bombs are going up, and these spiral big flames and all that. And went to this massive pot full of black gunpowder, man. I mean, I made it cylinders where it'd go up and form and go to the to the ceiling and down the walls and the floor, and then cover everything. Well, he come skating out. He didn't tell me that he couldn't skate. so anyway, he come out and he's doing this. Whoa! He falls right over that pot of that gunpowder. He just did back off of it, and it blew.
Oh man!
Oh man! I said, "Gee,
Artie, have you written a book yet? You got to take these stories and put it down. I mean, this is
crazy.
entertaining.
Rolling Stone would love it. It'd be like a column. He could write.
I'm telling you, I'm already thinking of like a movie script right now in my mind, and we can capture the story.
Nuts.
Because that is wow.
After that, we just played music again. We didn't do all that.
So that was like how many years of glam rock would you say you participated in?
Well, I quit playing when I was 28 on stage. I had my business, and I couldn't play the gigs late at night and be at work early in the morning. So I guess that was 25, 26, something around in there when I was. So let's see, I graduated in 70. So I guess it was probably 75, 76, 6 years later,
Yeah.
you know.
Where'd you graduate from?
Well, I was supposed to graduate from Biloxi. It's another story.
So you're a Biloxi guy. Gotcha.
And my hair grew too fast, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So we ended up, the four of us sued the school board. We're
I remember that now.
the first case of a band suing the school board for the length of their hair. It made front page all the way to New York Times.
It was a big
man.
deal.
Hey, I'm talking, they hated me, you know. I mean, they really did. But I went to register, and they held me up, and they said, I'm sorry, y'all can't go to school here. Well, we were told by a lawyer that if one of us got caught, all of us remained in it was the opening day of school, all the rules and regulation. We couldn't do what they wanted, the hair off your ears and off your hair was everywhere. So anyway, we had our motorhome parked outside the school with the side, the band was all on the side written there. And we had our lawyer in the bus and our manager. So I had the principal, and I had the what the heck is it, the head of the school district.
Superintendent?
Yeah, well, anyway, they're all in the office, man. They get down. So excuse me for a second. I'll be right back. He said, where are you going? I said, I'll be right back. And I went out the door, and I waved to them. And they said, who is this coming? I said, well, let me introduce you, man. This is our manager. This is Brad Thompson. And I said, this man is our attorney. He's Robert A. Cerveda. And I said, he's going to talk now. And he said, well, I'm sorry, we can't do what you want to do because they just released a record, and they ain't going to look good with their haircut. So we're not cutting their hair, and we're going to school here. And I said, no, you're not. He said, yeah, we are, because I'm going to file an injunction, and you're going to have to live with it until it comes to court. I thought, just keep canceling it, you know, so we keep our hair. Well, they hated us so bad. Got a book in the car one morning, and I asked if I could get the book. So they had orders to send me to the Trudon officer downstairs. He was bad. Well, anyway, I went down there, and he said, what are you doing here, Desporte? I said, I got my book out of the car. I'm all greased back trying to get along, you know. And he took and he beat me till I bled, man. I mean,
what?
He gave me so many licks, and I said, hey, coach, you know, back there I ain't got much of a behind, you know. I said, how about giving me a break? So I'm rubbing that, and he wrapped me behind the legs and drew blood. I turned around and flipped him off, told him to stick the school up his ass. I'm out of here. And he said, you come back here. I said, screw you, coach. I'm out of here. So I left. I went to Notre Dame. Notre Dame had a hair length until your waist at the time. So I don't know if you remember Gielan Doswell.
I do.
Gielan was the approved hair length, you know. Wow. So I went to school there, and I didn't go to school too much, but I went to school.
Right.
And like I said, that's the end of those days too. Thank God, I made it through. I graduated.
People don't remember how I graduated Biloxi High. How it was the hair cannot touch the top of your ear or your shirt collar.
So this was.
Couldn't touch your
this was
eyebrows,
like.
dude.
I remember in culture after World War II when they came back, it was like a society of rules. Like you had all these guys come back from the war, and there was a ton of like rules, and society kind of followed them. And then you had, once the 60s hit, and just kind of like that counterculture.
Yeah,
happened.
they revolted against it. That's how they didn't realize that them being the government or being the establishment, I haven't said that word in a long time, that you're only making a recipe for danger, because if you set the rules like Marlon Brando said in the movie The Wild One, he's asked, what are you rebelling against? He goes, what do you got?
Yeah.
And that was basically it. So, but they were responsible, for the Hells Angels. They were just a bunch of Army veterans coming back from World War II that didn't want to be stifled by these rules.
Oh, I did not know that.
And
That's
music as well. I mean, Hendrix was a paratrooper. He served in Vietnam. John Fogerty, Creedence Clearwater Revival. He was in the Army and was in Vietnam. A lot of these guys, they knew what they were talking about. They weren't just screaming, hell no, we won't go. They'd already been. So anyway, so Artie's spot on with that.
Notorious.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And
So now we're in the 70s. What was the 80s? So you said you stopped because you had a business. What was that business?
I owned Desporte and Son Seafood. Me and my brother.
yeah,
So
Junie.
all the restaurants and the casinos.
Because when I heard Desporte, of course, I've
Right.
I've
And Junie
I
played.
thought,
Your
but I
brother
didn't.
played in bands.
Yeah,
right?
my brother played back before me. Him and Popo the mayor.
Right.
Yeah, they played. They had a band called Junie and the Chantels. They had horns and stuff.
Right.
Wait, so Fofo plays?
Yeah.
Oh,
They-
I did not know that.
They played.
Cherry pie.
Yeah, they played up at Ole Miss and they played around Ocean Springs and stuff. But they never really got into it. They drank more than they played. but they had fun.
It happens in the music business.
But they had fun, I mean,
Oh,
they,
yeah. Oh,
they
yeah.
cut up.
Well,
and,
Junie always had fun.
and Popo still, every time there's a band in Biloxi on that first Friday,
Yeah,
he gets up there and sings Louie Louie and all this stuff,
Oh, yeah.
But it was crazy.
frat
But
band.
they left their equipment in our house, and we had a room in the back of the house. And when they'd leave it, I'd sneak in there and go try to play. I actually played drums before I played guitar, But everybody started complaining because they want you to beat on drums all the time. So I said, well, I got to find something else. So I picked up the guitar, and I learned how to play guitar, And
Did you teach yourself?
pretty much. I had a few people show me things, but like I said, it was just a long road,
Yeah.
I have a question, might be a personal question, but when you were going through this music and, telling the school, to screw off because of the hair and things like that, like, what were your parents?
My mother was right behind me, man.
Awesome.
She was all for me. My dad wanted to whip my behind, but
Gotcha.
cut that damn hair. Well, one time I actually cut it. I looked like Donny Osmond, and him and my brother was bowling at the beach bowling alley,
Yeah.
and I walked in there and I sat down behind them. I mean, right behind them.
They
didn't know who I was.
Mhm.
I'm talking, I was in there a good 30 minutes or so, and then my brother come by drinking a beer, and he looked back. He said, Artie, is that you? I said, yeah. My old man see me. He says, Jesus, you look terrible. You need to grow that crap back. And he never asked me again,
Were they
He
always
got used to it.
Were they always supportive of your music career and you?
My dad didn't understand. My brother did because he played, My brother started coming around when we'd play, and
Is he younger or older?
no, he was older.
He's older.
He was 5 years older. And he'd come around, we'd play, and he had a good time,
Yeah.
And my dad couldn't understand. Well, when I finally got rid of the manager, my old man showed up at the beach house. They had so many people in this place, man. You couldn't breathe in there. And they had a circular dance floor, and it was just packed, Well, all of a sudden, I'm looking in the crowd, and I'm starting to see it open up in the middle. I don't know what's going on. It's my old man doing this crazy dance, the F Troop, he said.
Oh, wow.
He thought
The
he had
TV
them-
show, F
He had
Troop?
them all doing it. I was looking, he said, this is all right. I didn't know this is what you were doing. I said, what did you think I was doing,
He probably saw you were doing it, and some people say, "Oh, I'm a musician, Dad," and it's like little things, but seeing the crowd and seeing the reaction from them,
Right.
he probably was like,
The
"Man,
moment.
this is serious stuff." Because
Well, I come home one night. I had to play a CYO convention for 1,000 people or so, and some crazy girl come along, and she said a few things to me, and I said a few things back, and she hit me in the head with a bottle of rocking chair, laid me out, man.
Really?
I smelled like a brewery, and I don't drink. So I go home. I was still living at home then. I was young, and my old man says, "Where the hell you been at a whorehouse all night?" I said, "I ain't been a CYO convention."
Close, CYO.
No, he couldn't understand. He says, "So what are you doing?" I said, "I just played music for the priests and the nun." I said, "That's all I did. I didn't do anything wrong. I don't know what you're doing at night. I just don't understand this."
That's it.
So then at the beach house, they got robbed Easter weekend when we were playing there. And for some reason, I always bring my guitars home. Everybody left the guitars there. I had the James Gang. I had the ones, Headlighters. I had all these people. They left all their guitars on stage.
And they got stolen.
And they all left. And, well, we left ours too then, They broke in. They stepped over their guitars and stole ours, a Firebird, a 335, a Cougar bass, a whole set of Rogers drums, and all the microphones. So I got a gig this weekend. I didn't know what I was going to do. I had to have some equipment. So I went up and I asked my old man, I said, "Listen, I need to get some more stuff." So they stole all my stuff. I said, "Is it all right if I go get this and you just sign for it and I'll pay for it? I'm not asking you to pay for it." He slapped me in the mouth, "What are you, crazy?" I said, "Look, Dad," I said, "I'm not asking you to pay for it. I just need to sign for it and I'll pay for it quick." So I did. My mama went behind his back and signed for it. Wow. So I got all the stuff. So I paid it off really fast. He said, "So how you paying for all this, so quick? What are you selling, drugs?" I didn't even know what drugs was, So I said, "Dad," I said, "I told you I've been playing music." I said, "I work for you because you need me." I said, "It ain't for the money. I could make 3 hours, which you pay me in a week, or better, And I said, "So, I'm just doing it to help you." And he says, "Well, what do you do with all this money?" So I took him back in my room and I opened up the closet. I said, "There's 48 pairs of bell bottoms hanging up there." I said, "The other side's full of these shirts." I said, "They're probably $200 a piece shirts. All those boots on the floor is a couple of $100. I buy shirts, pants, boots, and equipment. That's what I do with my money."
Yeah.
And he says, "I just don't believe that." So I played the garden room. Another one, it was packed. And everybody pays you in ones and fives and all that back then, Nobody had any big bills. So the manager would come up while we were playing and hold up this stack of money, man, just holding. We all looking like, wow, we're going to do good tonight, Well, anyway, he come and paid us. And so we got through. I walked in the house. I said, "I can't resist it." I turned the lights on. I opened up his bedroom door. I said, "I just want to show you, Dad, what 3 hours will do when I go do that instead of doing it with you." And I threw all the money in the air. It went all over the room. He says, "What did you do, rob a bank?" I said, "No, I played music for 3 hours, Dad." I said, "Not bad, huh?" And he's just looking, man. I just can't believe that's when he come to the beach house.
He had a different.
And he said, "Well, now I see what I said."
Right.
Then you made a believer out of him.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's a really good story.
That sounds like a movie in itself as
said,
well.
I said, "Dad, we got a following, I said, "They like us, I said, "I don't know if we anything great, but they followed us. They like us." And he said, "I see now. So y'all need anything?" I said, "That was good,
But that's great that your daddy realized that what was going on, and rather than spending the rest of the time
and when
wondering.
When you say you work for your dad, was that seafood?
Yeah.
So there was a seafood, Desporte seafood.
My great-great-grandfather started it.
Gotcha. Because that's a cultural iconic.
Yes, it is.
And I've never known the history of it. I just know
it filtered down. So at 10 years old, I went to work with my old man.
Gotcha.
And I worked then until I was 63, 53 years. We worked together. My old man retired when he was 50, and he ended up selling. We formed a corporation, me and my brother, my dad, my mother. And we bought them two out, me and my brother, and we had it for the rest of the time until, I don't know what year that was, 07. My brother died of esophagus cancer.
Mm-hmm.
I had a major heart attack and had to have a heart transplant. So
wow.
Things really slowed down a lot then, I couldn't do what all I wanted to do, and I had to kind of back off and smell the roses for a while, you know. So, but we hung until just I was 63 and I retired.
Did your so I was going to ask musical influences within the family. Did your brother played, but obviously your dad or your mother didn't play any instruments or didn't have any inclination?
My dad
towards it?
loved to sing, and he sang really good, but he never really sang in public until he got a few drinks in.
Right.
He would sing, you know.
Well, that's a lot of us.
Well, my brother was playing at Gus Stevens with a band, the first band he got in, and the old man said, "Come on, we going." So we went there. Well, they played older stuff, Ebb Tide of all things.
Well, that was that era, yeah.
My old man says, you know, that sounded so good, I could see the seagulls shitting on y'all while y'all was up there. I don't know. I just followed in the footsteps. I didn't get none on me, you know.
Wow.
That's great.
Wow. I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
It sounds so good. The seagulls are shitting on you over
It's
there.
one of those, thank you.
Yeah.
It's like,
appreciate it. Maybe.
I think. Yeah.
Wow.
Those are. Do you have any of your equipment?
Yeah, I've still got a ton of it. She asked me, what are you going to do with all that? And I still got Marshalls and crates and Fender amps and I got
Made in America, probably.
riders and I got mixer boards from God knows when the Mayflower come over with the big knobs.
Right.
I still got it in the top. I had the Super Beetle until Ted come down and asked right before Katrina, let me see that thing. Why don't you sell it to me? I said, no, I don't want to sell it, man. And I took the head down and put it on the floor. Well, Katrina, I had water to the darn facial boards.
Right.
And it went under. You know, as much as I kept looking at it, I hated to do it, but I had to throw it away. You know? But I got 8 guitars and keyboards and PA systems and all that stuff. I can't depart.
It's hard to let it go.
Yeah,
I mean,
I get it.
It's trinkets of the past, and sometimes
it is. It's a link to the past.
Yeah.
It's
well,
who you were at one time.
Yeah, one time we played a lot of Santana and stuff. So I played Congo drums, bongo drums, timbales, and all. So I had all of that crap too. But I got rid of the drums. I didn't have a room to put them in the house, you know.
Yeah.
But I got rid of them, so I just beat on the table now, you know. So.
Now, what's your passion? Guitar?
Yeah.
Guitar's your passion. Gotcha.
Wow. I go see, I don't get up to, every now and then they get me up, which I'm kind of shy now, I guess. I don't know. But when I hear them play, I know I can do it, you know. I mean, I know I can play it, you know. I'll go home and I'll play it, what I just heard. But my ear's good. If I hear something, I can use it to play it.
Do you play by ear?
Yeah, play by ear.
Wow.
But I can hear it, and I can, you know, after just a second or two, you can hear, you know how it is. You hear it, you know, and I can play it. I'll get home. She says, what are you doing? So I got to play for a while. You know, I got to play for a while. So, you know.
I don't think it ever leaves you.
It's still under the skin.
Yeah.
I don't think I could put up. He's got the right idea. He don't have to put up with nobody, you know. Just, you know. And like I said.
I don't have to pay anybody any more money than when they ask for it. Or
you ain't got to worry about when they're going to show up.
When they're going to show up, that was the big one.
I don't know.
Side note, do you know? I want to know if you knew my dad, because I remember hearing him tell your name, Bill Hill.
Played in Coast, the band Coast.
Yeah, I remember Coast. I never got to
daddy
hear him because I was playing myself. But
my dad, because I remember when we were starting this podcast, he said, "Man, you got to get Artie on there."
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I remember certain names, and I was like, "Okay," but I've heard your name many times as well when I was younger.
It was written on a wall in the post office too. I was wondering.
It was a good picture of you too.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah,
that whole podcast right there. We can organize it and make a movie, very entertaining movie.
It was a wild ride.
The freaking arrow got me, man. I'm like, wow.
I guess that's why I had to have a heart transplant. I had so much under my skin, man. That just put me down. I had 4 houses underwater and a business underwater.
Yeah.
My brother was dying with cancer.
Yeah,
that's an awful lot.
They all had to and I just fell out. I couldn't do it, you know.
Sure.
But I'm still awake.
Yes, you are.
Like bad grass, man. I keep coming back.
Keep coming back.
Know?
That's one of my favorite sayings.
Before we adjourn, I just want to know, when it comes to music today, we're 2023, and you see do you like to see where it's heading? Do you feel like the best music was in the past? Like, what would you say?
I like some of the music today, but I'm using stuff from the past.
Gotcha.
I think the music was way better back then than it is now. There's a few that's good. You know, it's Guns N' Roses, AC/DC, and a few. I liked all them, but some of these groups, to me, it's a waste of vinyl, man.
Well,
I mean, really, I just don't see it. You know, and she likes to listen to some of it, and I've listened to it because of her, and some of it, Green Day and stuff. I like them. Just some of them just don't make sense to me. And rap, they can flush that down the toilet, man. I am no use for that.
Right. Well, the term or the idea of a rock band is almost archaic.
Yeah.
Today's music, it isn't like there's bands doing it. It's mostly whether it's a form of R&B or whether it's a solo singer or whoever. The idea of a 4-piece band on the charts, it's not happening.
I know.
And so
but when it does,
makes you scratch your head.
But when it does, it's like AC/DC and
yeah,
and like.
But there's
everybody
no
went
new.
crazy, It's like they never heard of something like this before.
But
Yeah,
right now, I
yeah.
felt like we just went through a with some of the music that you hear on radio nowadays that are popular. It's got that 80s feel, electronic, really heavy electronic synths. And I
Yeah.
feel like things come back. And I feel like you're going to have that era where people will pick up the instrument again as a group and play and make beautiful music. And people will be like, wow, I haven't heard that in years. I respect what they're doing, even though they're new. Like,
Well,
like Greta Van Fleet, like they're
Yeah.
getting big and they sound just like Led Zeppelin.
Right.
And I listen to it. I'm like, wow, that's a breath of fresh air to see guys who are younger than me. I'm 32, playing.
Boy, you old.
but
I'm
what I'm
71.
saying, but what I'm saying is like it's got to come back because people don't want to just listen to machines all the day.
I think it will. I think you're right. But in what form will it come back? I mean, one thing people seem to either love or hate Ed Sheeran. Well, I like him personally. But he's a guitar player, a singer-songwriter. And there's plenty of singer-songwriters out there, and there's plenty of bands out there. But I'm talking to make it to the charts or make it in a mega way.
Yeah.
He's one of the guys that is perpetuating it, that's keeping it going.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen him loop.
He's got the flame, and he's going to pass it to somebody else when he gets to
I've seen him loop, like where he does a concert.
He's a genius at
So
it.
it's absolutely amazing. And that's some of his music overplayed on the radio. Yeah, and when I hear it, I'm like, okay, that's aggravating because you hear it so much.
Yeah.
But that's where the haters come in. But when it comes to what he's doing, I'm like, I respect that wholeheartedly.
Yeah, and like talking about the musicians, you could show me right now the top 10 Billboard list, and I bet you I don't know who half of it. Or if I know who they are, I don't know the songs.
Yeah. Now, I do have a question for you too. When it comes to musicians younger than me that are wanting to live that dream, you got any words of inspiration for them?
Yeah, keep trying.
Keep trying.
Keep trying.
Yeah.
And try to be original if possible, but you got to please the crowd. It's got to have some kind of, to me, it's got to have some kind of beat to it. I mean, if it's just, there's kind of there, and I don't remember what they even did, but if you got something that's kind of clicky and got a beat to it, you remember things,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's great. I mean, he really is. I heard him at the Ground Zero, and I couldn't believe it was just him. I mean, really, he's really great.
That's very kind of you.
He is great. I think Hank is a wonderful, wonderful musician and person.
I just spent a wide for me and her to go see Guns N' Roses, man.
Oh, wow.
Hey, you got to give blood to go in to go see Guns N'
That's
Roses.
the other thing, how much these concerts
I'm
cost.
telling you, man. I can remember not playing hardly anything and going to see. I see Wishbone Ash. I've seen everybody, man. I've seen Journey before it was Journey, Peter Frampton before he was Peter Frampton.
Right.
And I don't know. I just seen, I've seen so many. I had so many T-shirts at one time.
Yeah.
And I was skinnier then, I wore smiles. And, man, they don't tell what them T-shirts be when I gave them away. I mean, I had drawers full of them, man. I've been to, once I got a break where I could go, because I really wanted to go see Hendrix play at City Park Stadium, and I had a gig. I couldn't play, I couldn't go. But I ended up with his guitar case. This is crazy. I bought a Les Paul Deluxe.
Uh-huh.
And I met this girl who married this friend of mine, and I went to her house, and the guy that owned the guitar originally ended up in Parchman. And I said, I bought this Les Paul. She says, really? She says, who'd you buy it from? So whatever the guy's name was, I told her, and she says, is it in that Gibson case? I said, yeah, it was. She says, you know whose case that was? I said, oh, God, whose case? She says, Hendrix at City Park Stadium. My husband threw it over the fence to me. I had to put it in the trunk of the car.
They stole it?
Stole it. Well, I got a Les Paul too, but I got a Strat just like the one he played, the blonde finish.
Right.
Well, I had it in there, and that's the only thing because I had the guitars hanging up. The case got ruined in Katrina.
Oh,
I
no.
know. But and I think about that, I said, oh, man. But when she told me this, you're kidding. She said, no. He made me sit outside and wait. He threw it over the fence to me, and I put it in the trunk.
Holy
He's in Parchment now. Or was.
Wow.
So I don't know. I'll probably go to jail for that, you know.
No.
I think what is
Statute
it?
of limitations.
Statute of limitations.
You're finished.
So you're good.
You're good to go. Besides, they can't prove anything, can they?
I think he's dead too now. So.
Oh, okay. Man, those are some great stories.
Great stories.
Crazy
Well,
stuff.
I appreciate you being on the podcast with us
Absolutely.
today. This is a great guest.
Yes.
And I know we're wrapping up season one. I don't know if you realize this, but seasons are usually 12, 13 episodes.
Is that right?
This is our 13th episode.
Is it?
So we're heading to season 2.
Oh my gosh. We'll have to throw a party.
I know. So we've actually had 13, 14 actually, because I'm working on the last 2 and then this one. So this will be season 1.
Wow. Do you know Wayne Alley? He's a drummer.
I'm bad with names. I know
Yeah, he plays with Ratnall a lot. He started a video deal with all the old musicians on the coast, which he interviewed me and Pat and all that back in Ray Fournier's days and way before that, you know. And he's got all that. He's trying to make something up. You and him ought to get together.
Oh, yeah.
That sounds good.
Wayne Alley.
Wayne Alley.
And he like film y'all talking about some old stories or?
He's got everything he's got George Locke, Hosey. He's got
really?
He's got everybody, man. Wayne's on there, and he went to this musician, and he comes in like you. He's got all these lights and everything set up, you know. And we did it. And Mark wouldn't talk. Mark backed up. He was scared. I said,
why?
What are you scared of?
Mark Simon.
He said, I don't know, man. He said, I don't like doing that kind of stuff. He put on sunglasses and stood in the back. But he's something that you might find some interest in because he's still doing it, you know. But he travels around. He's got a whole van that he redone, and he's on the road with it. He played with who was the girl that played violin so good? Was from around here.
I don't know.
Yeah, she was big time for a while. But he played with her for a while, and now he plays with this one and that one. But he's
in Rat's band now.
He plays with Rat a lot, you know.
Is he my age?
Is he what?
Is he my age?
He's probably. How old are you now?
67.
No, he's younger than you. And like I said, he's been around. He knows a lot, you know. I mean, he knows a lot of musicians, and he's.
We should reach out to him.
I will.
That might be a pretty good thing. You go ahead.
I'll look him up and see in
yes.
Wayne Alley.
Yes.
But he might be of interest to you because he's got a lot of stuff, you know. And he asked me, well, who was back before that? I said, I was going back, man.
Yeah.
I said, as far as I was concerned, it started with Ray Fournier.
Uh-huh.
And I said, but there was bands before that you know, that I didn't really know, but I heard of.
Right.
And I said, my cousin was in one of them, and I said, I don't even know what the name of them were.
So Ray Fournier, what years was he on the scene?
50s and 60s, a band called Rockin' Rebels.
Okay,
yeah.
So that's when you get into the 50s.
That used to be the mayor, played in the band with him also.
Wow.
Seems like all the
Kenny's brother.
all the mayors are
AJ?
musicians.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
You know that most of the mayors are musicians.
Yeah, well, I'd say Billy Hughes. Now I know Fofo. I thought about Fofo.
Yeah.
I don't know about Kenny, but like you said, AJ was.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know if Kenny played anything.
You ever want to get in politics?
Be a musician.
You ever going to be a politician?
Do I want to be a politician?
Yeah, you can be the mayor of some city.
I don't really like most politicians, to be honest with you.
Oh,
agreed.
Wow.
I got a big mouth. I say what I please.
Hey,
you
well,
know?
that's probably why people.
You only have to take care of one story, the truth.
Yeah, if it
That's
ain't
right.
if it ain't right, I'm gonna tell you about it.
There you
know?
go.
So,
Well, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
For
Thanks,
being on
Artie.
this podcast, and I
has
cannot
been
wait
fun.
to edit this and let people hear these
Yeah, man.
amazing stories. I
That's
can't wait to
great.
write the description for this episode. It's going to be explosive.
We got to get a picture of the three of us too, so
Yes.
we can put it on Facebook.
they'll
for
probably come arrest me when this is over.
No, you're good.
no.
You're good. We got you. Well, I'm Jesse Hill.
I'm Hank Berman.
Artie Desporte.
Until next season on the High Note Podcast.